where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, and 30. Now, of course, it's a couple of hours until my showing Super Mario Bros., so I decided to kill some time until then. So here are the films that are celebrating its anniversary this week. Alright, the film celebrating its 10th anniversary. While we wait for the new one to come out, it is crazy to believe it's been 10 years since the last Evil Dead film. Now, Evil Dead, which of course was a remake of the iconic Bruce Campbell one, starring Jane Levy, you of course have Charlotte Fernandez, a little fun cameo by Bruce Campbell at the end. If you guys don't know much about the story here, you got Mia played by Jane Levy here, who is this addict and is determined to kick the habit, and to that she acts as her brother David, played by Charlotte Fernandez, his girlfriend Natalie, and their other friends to accompany her at this at their family's remote cabin, and of course, lots of shenanigans end up happening, and of course, where like this book, of course, possesses me and stuff. I remember watching this film with my brothers just at the time, and this movie is one of the most gorgeous films I have ever seen in theaters. Obviously, until Terrifier 2 came around, but holy cow, the gore in this is insane. I mean, my own sister can't even look at mozzarella cheese the same way, because there's a scene where someone's, gets pulled off as if it's a mozzarella stick. I mean, this is so insane, but I had a fun time. I thought it was really decent. Is it as good as the original? Obviously not. But this is definitely one of the few horror remakes that definitely really works, and I cannot wait for Evil Dead Rise, but I really wish we get another Evil Dead movie with Jane Levy coming back. And I'm hoping we don't have to wait another 10 years. I hope we don't have to wait till like 2033 for the next Evil Dead film, but we'll see. Because I mean, it seems like it's been a trend. Like before this one, we had not had before 2013's Evil Dead, we had not had an Evil Dead film since Army of Darkness. So when this new Evil Dead film comes out, Evil Dead Rise, I will be doing my reviews for the Evil Dead movies, including this one. So keep your eye out for those reviews when I do them. Anyway, another film that actually turns 10 is maybe not one that is not too well known, but of course when we talk about clowns, we always talk about like Pennywise, obviously Art the Clown. But one clown I feel like does not get talked about as much is Stitches. Now, Stitches was this horror film from Ireland, which was a slasher gory film. And here's what it's about. The plot concerns a birthday clown returning from the dead to exact revenge upon a boy and a group of children teenagers who contribute to his death. I mean, the gore in this thing is insane. I mean, if you think Art the Clown kills are completely gory, you have not watched Stitches. Like, the gore in this is level up. Like, I mean, Stitches is even more gory than Art the Clown and Pennywise literally put together, And when I'm talking about gore, I mean complete gore. But it is really decent, though very underrated. I always wish they did a Stitches sequel, but, hey, maybe with the success of Terrifier 2, maybe there's hope for another Stitches. Who knows? Alright. Now, other films celebrating its 10th anniversary, we got Danny Boyle's movie Trance, starring James McAvoy, Rosario Dawson, Vincent Cassell, and Tuppence Middleton. A violent gang enlists the help of a hypnotherapist in an attempt to locate a painting which somehow vanished in the middle of a heist. Now, I love Danny Boyle. I even like his movie, his 2000 movie, The Beach, which that movie gets so much hate. Lots of people always consider that to be Danny Boyle's worst film. But to be honest, I actually like The Beach. I don't care what anyone says. But if I have to just pick Danny Boyle's worst movie he has ever done, that would be Trance. Trance is god-awful. I remember watching this film. I had no idea what the heck was going on. I mean, there is a lot of Rosario Dawson in this, if you know what I mean. But Yeah, this. I mean, other than the whole Rosario Dawson scenes, if you guys watch Trance, you know what I'm talking about. You know what scenes I'm talking about. I'm not gonna repeat the scenes because I'm a public and all. But yeah, that aside, this is not a great film. I mean, his other movies like Slumdog Millionaire is pretty decent. Either I never thought that show won the Oscar, but still. Um, Obviously, Train Spotting. But yeah, this one maybe doesn't get talked about as much, but there's a reason why. It's a completely boring film. I was going literally. This was one of the few movies where I was literally gonna walk out of, but I was like, okay, I'll stay. But yeah, it's not that good of a film. Alright, also turning 10, we got the film The Company You Keep. Now, this is directed and stars Robert Redford, starring Shia LaBeouf, Julie Christie, Susan Sarandon, Jackie Eficano, Brandon Gleeson, Brett Marling, Anna Kendrick, Terrence Howard, Nick Nolte, Chris Cooper, Sam Elliott, Stanley Tucci, and Stephen Root. And the story centers on a recent widower and single father, Jim Grant, who is this like former Weather Underground anti-Vietnam War militant who is wanted for like a bank robbery and murder and stuff like that. And so Grant has like hidden from the FBI over other years as and turning in Albany, New York, he becomes fugitive and stuff like that. This is actually not a bad film. I mean, of course, it is directed by Robert Redford, who has done some iconic stuff, like obviously his Oscar-winning movie *Ordinary People* and stuff. But this is a really decent flick. I mean, Shia LaBeouf, was I thought Shia LaBeouf was pretty decent in this. The performances are around by the cast is good. Not a bad little film. You guys ever seen that? All right. Also, now turning 20, we got some big ones here. We, of course, got the Joe Schumacher classic Phone Booth, starring Colin Farrell, Kiefer Sutherland, Rhoda Mitchell, Forrest Whitaker. You had some really decent cast members in this. And it is, of course, directed by Joe Schumacher, who is best known for directing, Batman Forever, Batman Robin, The Lost Boys. I mean, he's done some really iconic movies over the years. R.I.P. Joe Schumacher. Now, if you guys don't know much about Phone Booth, it stars Colin Farrell, who plays this guy, this young publicist, who is actually being targeted by a sniper played by Kiefer Sutherland. And the whole movie is just Colin Farrell inside a phone booth and stuff like that. And he quickly finds his life at risk from him. I mean, Kiefer Sutherland, he's done some great films over the years. Obviously, when you think of him, you always think of Jack Bauer from 24. I should still check out his show Rabbit Hole. I've been hearing good stuff about it. I just never really got around to watching it. But I love Kiefer Sutherland. Obviously, going all the way back to Stand By Me or The Lost Boys, or obviously 24. It is crazy to believe my favorite Kiefer Sutherland performance is not Jack Bauer. It's not him playing the villains in Lost Boys or Stand By Me. It's just his voice alone in Phone Booth. And even today, we still don't know this guy's name. Like, when you look at his the movie Phone Booth on IMDb, his character is like never listed. He's only listed as the caller, so you never know like who this guy's name is and everything. That makes him much more intense. But that aside, I love Phone Booth. I always thought like this movie. I remember watching this one. I used to watch this at a time where I was not supposed to watch a film like this. But I remember watching this film back in the days, and I enjoyed it. I had a fun time with it. I mean, obviously, ain't no way they'll never do a sequel because, for one, let's be for real, this movie would not be called Phone Booth if it got released today. It'll probably be called Cell Phone or something like that, and the guy will probably be stuck inside maybe like a mall or something. I mean, there's literally phone booths just don't exist nowadays. So yeah, but that aside. This is still a pretty fun film. This is actually the movie that really introduced me to Colin Farrell, believe it or not. I really adore this film a lot. It's terrific. It's entertaining. It's endearing. It's a really terrific movie worth checking out. So if you guys never seen Phone Booth, do yourself a favor. Go watch it. It is a really terrific film. Alright. Alright, also turning 20 this week, We got some other stuff, not just phone booth. We got Cowboy Bebop the movie, of course the anime film based on the anime series. And I really quite like that Netflix show, by the way. I know it did not really get much love, but I think that Netflix show was not as bad as most people may actually be. Now, Cowboy Bebop, the movie, is set between 13 episodes, 22 and 23 of the original series. The plot centers on a mysterious terrorist planning to destroy the human population on Mars using an unknown Pentalodian. The bounty hunter crew of the spaceship Bebop work to find the terrorists and discover the Pentagon's source before the attack can take place. Now, I actually quite like Cowboy Bebop, and the movie version is really intriguing. It's really entertaining. I mean, I wouldn't mind. It's a shame that they never really done like a sequel to this, but yeah, I really had a fun time with that Cowboy Bebop film. All right. Also turning 20, we got the Vin Diesel film A Man Apart. Now, the movie does star Vin Diesel as a Sean Vetter, who is this undercover DEA agent who is on a vendetta to take down a mysterious drug lord named Diablo after his wife is murdered. And the film also stars the likes of Lawrence Tate. Um, and the movie is directed by F. Gary Gray, who's best known for directing Friday. He also worked with Vin Diesel on Fate of the Furious. Um, Pretty decent director. He also did Straight Outta Compton. He's done some really decent movies under his belt. And A Man Apart, obviously whenever you think of Vin Diesel, you always think of Fast and Furious or even Triple X and stuff. This is maybe one of Vin Diesel's most underrated, underappreciated movies. This is actually a pretty fun film. I mean, although the movie did not really do so well, I mean, movies like this, Last Witch Hunter, and even Bloodshot, does show that Vin Diesel's box office draws is not great when the movie's not called Fast and Furious, you know, or even Triple X. Like even the last Triple X movie did pretty well. But that aside, A Man Apart is a pretty fun flick. I mean, it's really entertaining. Really shows Vin Diesel's acting chops here. Really decent film if you guys ever seen that. All right. Also turning 20, we got What Women Want. What a Girl Wants, which stars Amanda Bynes, Colin Farrell. I had Colin Farrell on my mind. Elaine Atkins, Jonathan Price, and Kelly Preston. It's about an American teenager who learns that her father is a wealthy British politician running for office. Although she is eager to find him, she realizes it would cause a scandal and cost him the election. Now, What a Girl Wants is a pretty decent film. I mean, of course, it does star Amanda Bynes, which I'm really disappointed. I'm hoping her life gets back on track because I've always liked Amanda Bynes. Obviously, going all the way back to all that, the Amanda Show, most of course Hairspray. It's a shame she has not even done a movie since Easy A back in 2010. Of course, I'm not really going into details, but if you guys remember, she had a bit of a meltdown recent where of course she had to drop out of that 90s con. I hope she gets her life back on track because Amanda Bynes have always been really good. And What a Girl Wants is really decent. Of course, it features the iconic song What a Girl Wants and stuff. Colin Firth was great. Kelly Preston. Really decent little film if you guys ever seen that. Alright. Now, turning dirty, we of course got The Crush. Now, this movie was directed by Alan Shapiro and starred Carrie Ellis, Alicia Silverstone, and it's where like a 28-year-old writer, Nick Elliott, played by Carrie Ellis from Princess Bride fame, moves to a new city for a magazine job. You of course have Alicia Silverstone who plays Darren Forrester, who's this 14-year-old daughter of the landlord whose guest house he runs. Instantly makes her attraction to Nick. However, while Nick romances photographer Amy Maddock at work, he has trouble fending off of Darren's advances. Now, of course, this did star Alicia Silverstone, and I believe this was like, I think 2 years or 3 years before Silverstone's breakthrough with Clueless, if I'm not mistaken. But The Crush is a really decent thriller. I mean, it definitely had a bit of a Fair Attraction vibe. Because ever since like Fair Attraction got released, there was lots of interesting ripoffs out there, and The Crush was one of them. And Carrie Ellis, obviously, when you think of him, you always think of The Princess Bride or even Saw. I always like Carrie Ellis. I think he is always really terrific when he's on point here. And he also had some other cast members who appear in this film too. But yeah, of course, the tensions between Alicia Silverstone and Carrie Ellis is crazy. I mean, Alicia Silverstone plays crazy well in this, and she did a great job. If you guys never really seen The Crush, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It is a dream film. All right. Other films turning 30, we got Jack the Bear, which is Danny DeVito's film. Um, it's also starred Gary Sinise, Robert J. Miller, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, a very young Reese Witherspoon, Michael Hughes, who you might remember as the kid from as Gage from Pet Sematary. And Jack the Bear is a really decent little drama that Danny DeVito did a really good job with. Like, if you guys don't know much about the story, Danny DeVito plays John Larry, a professional horror host, Al Gore's, whose wife, death in a car accident, has left him to care for his young boys. And so, of course, it is a father and son story, and it's a really decent little film worth checking out. The performance by Danny DeVito is great, really decent flick. All right. Now I'm just gonna skim these down because my film's about to start. Also turning 30, we got The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Huck Finn, which is, of course, stars a young Elijah Wood, based on the Mark Twain classic. Not a bad adaptation. Of course, you had Courtney B. Vance was in this. Of course, this was like Elijah Wood at height of his childhood career, and he was pretty decent in this. So if you guys haven't seen it, get a little flick. And last but not least, we got Cop and a Half, which is a buddy cop comedy directed by the Fonz himself, Henry Winkler, starring Burt Reynolds, Holland Taylor, and it stars Burt Reynolds, who plays a veteran cop who reluctantly takes on an 8-year-old boy played by Norman B. Golden as his partner to solve a murder investigation. And this movie is completely dumb. I mean, seeing like. Of course, at the time it was like very noble for action stars to pretty much do these type of family fare films. Obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger done it with Kindergarten Cop. Obviously, most Vin Diesel, when you talk about him, you of course obviously go to Pacifier. Dwayne Johnson, obviously Tooth Fairy. And so seeing like Burt Reynolds take action in this is intriguing. His chemistry with the kid I thought was really fun. I mean, this is more of a guilty pleasure, but it is crazy to believe that this is directed by the Fonz, so that's cool. If you guys haven't seen Cop and a Half, give it a go. There's also a sequel, which I believe Lou Diamond Phillips starred in, which is terrible. But the first film is actually pretty fun to check out. Anyway, let me leave you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one will definitely have to be the Evil Dead film for 2013. The 20-year one, obviously Phone Booth. And the 30-year one, I'm going to go with The Crush. Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Henry signing off.